Hello, this is State Senator Glenn Gruenhagen coming to you from the Minnesota Capitol on a very important and critical issue. This is the third video I've done on the Annunciation shooting and transgenderism. You can see the other two, but I was testifying at the working group on gun violence, and unfortunately I was cut off by the chairman from saying anything about transgenderism. I believe this is an important issue that needs to be discussed in regards to keeping our children safe and violence-free from the type of violence that we saw at the Annunciation Church. You know, just to show you how horrible and terrible that was, the New York Post put out a front page article, "Demonic, transgender maniac shoots up Catholic school." Of course, he killed 2 children and wounded over 20 children. So this, we don't want to ever happen again, and I'm going to do everything I can to put a stop to it. Second thing is, we do have the Transgenders Manifesto. There are important revelations in the Transgender Shooters Manifesto to give us insight to his thinking. Number one, I have a couple of quotes from articles. One, the shooter was, quote, "tired of being transgender. I wish I never had brainwashed myself," okay? Number two, another article, "Gender or transgenderism and weed," meaning marijuana, effed up my mind, all right? So we're putting all these drugs into these children and minor children, and then we are surprised when they do violent or aggressive acts, when we know that even on some of these drugs, there's warnings about that. So we need to thoroughly look this, have this vetted, and I've signed on to a letter with other legislators so we can see exactly what drugs the shooter was on and what the root cause of this violence is. The other thing to warn parents, in Minnesota, there's a new mandate that was passed that teachers in the 3rd grade have to teach about non-binary pronouns this year to 3rd graders. This is an overreach that needs to stop immediately. Children should not be forced to engage in complex gender identity discussions at such a young age. Finally, in conclusion, for the sake of our children's safety and well-being, we need to promote mental health treatment for those with gender dysphoria and stop the exploitation of children through harmful transgender ideologies, mutilating surgery, cross-sex hormones, and puberty blockers, and then SRI drugs that have severe consequences. These are not the solutions. Remember, your chromosomes are either XX or XY. You cannot change those no matter what drugs you take or what mutilating surgery is performed on you. We must focus on protecting children from harm and ensuring their psychological and emotional health is the priority. Again, down at the federal level, we've had many children who've gone through this transgender surgery and puberty blockers. They want to detransition. That means they know they made a mistake. They're now sterilized, and they want to go back to the biology they were born to. And yet, when we look at the DFL and Governor Walz, I have several quotes by them. They seem to be disciples of imposing this on our minor children. Governor Walz said, "We are a safe haven for transgender individuals," and he signed laws in order to implement that. The Minnesota AG, Attorney General Ellickson, said, "We're suing the Trump administration who's trying to put a stop to this on minor children, this transgender nonsense." We're suing, again, AG said, "We're suing the Trump administration for gender-affirming care." Then we have the Minnesota Lieutenant Governor. "When our children tell us who they are, it's our jobs as grown-ups to believe them." I couldn't disagree more. When you're young, you do not understand the consequences of many of your actions. Actually, there's plenty of evidence that mentally, until you're 25, you don't fully weigh the consequences of your actions. So please get involved. The governor wants to call a special session and only address guns. He wants to do nothing about the transgenderism. The result will be it will not protect our children from violence if we don't address that. There's a number of laws that need to be repealed to protect our children from this dangerous and destructive ideology of transgenderism. Thank you. God bless you. Please contact the governor and DFL and voice your opinion on this issue. Thank you.